on, Chief.
What's happening, buddy?
There, you get it.
Okay, somebody say something.
All right, huh? I'm gonna send it to you.
Can I have your attention, please? If there's anyone wishing to speak tonight, must sign up with me. Is there anyone wanting to speak besides those that are on the agenda? Well, what you can do, you can go ahead and fill it out, and then you call your name, and you know what street, just put that on. I didn't realize
I got a pen.
You can have it. You need it?
I
Take
do
it.
need it.
Take it. It's yours.
This alcohol suspension thing, who is that? That's on the highway? They must be looking at the wrong agenda. The mayor just looked at one, he said it wasn't on there. He needs a copy. Hey, Joe.
Right.
I'll let him know. Number 4. Is there anybody else that want to speak?
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see such a good crowd on the audience. Watching.
A regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Selectmen held tonight, Tuesday, March 8, 2022, beginning at 6:30. Here in the second floor courtroom of City Hall, 23640 Railroad Avenue. Present, Mayor Reed.
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here.
Ms. Melhor. Here. Ms. Jones. Here. Mr. LeBlanc.
Here.
Mr. Coulthard.
Here.
And Mr. Randall. Here. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I want to start out and inform everybody that I've contracted with Barry Randall, the representative for the first part of the meeting tonight. Thank you, Mr. Barry, sitting on the front row. And also, I hired Mr. Barry on a special occasion to come up and bring the council up to date. It's a brand new subject that came up, and we needed a city attorney on it. So Barry, if you would.
Thank you, Mayor. Council persons, there was an issue concerning the Enterprise Boulevard connection to a new home being constructed by Mr. Clint Uso. The issue was that he had a contractor dig under Enterprise Boulevard to hook him up to energy rather than using the line on his side of the road to hook up to city power. So the mayor asked me to look into it, and I got with Travis, and we then investigated where the wires were, who owned the wires, how long they had been there. It seems as though Energy had had all the homes in that area hooked up maybe the last 30, 40 years. That included Suggs Marine. I even think the Plaquemine High is hooked up to, no, I think that may be, who's Plaquemine High, Travis? Energy. So most of those, except for Walmart, everything in that area is hooked up to Energy. And of course, they were there first. And I advise the mayor, and advising you tonight, that Energy has the right to service that particular house because of all of the neighborhood being connected to Energy. But the issue is, unfortunately, Mr. Uso's contractors did not get a permit from the owners of the road, which is the parish. So that's being handled right now by Energy. I contacted their lawyer. We're having a meeting next week to try to get them to get a permit after the fact, and then we'll go from there. So that's really all I had to say, and I'll answer any questions that you may have on this issue.
Mr. Barry, is he requesting water from the city and gas, or gas is coming through the parish?
I don't know that. I would think that the parish has that gas in that area, at least on that side of the road, which would be the west side of Enterprise.
And the sewage, you know anything about the sewage stuff?
Travis, you have any idea on the sewer and water?
Yeah, water service has been hooked up to that property. That was prior to private construction.
That's city of Blackman water?
Correct. City of Plaquemine water. Sewer is gonna be on a septic system, because we have no access to sewer, for him to access sewer. So all those homes will be on the septic system. So he's gonna be permitted to do the parish for that. Gas is for the parish as well.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Any other
Mr.
questions?
Barry?
I just have one question. and
Yes, ma'am.
it's not specifically for Mr. Barrett. I appreciate you being here tonight. I'm just really concerned as to why we didn't know you were hired. We didn't know. I mean, this is.
All I can say is this, ma'am, that it wasn't an emergency type thing. Because, you know, the city never wants potential customer.
I understand that.
And if they're hooking up to energy if and when the city has the right to hook them up. And I received a call late one afternoon and was on it the very next morning.
How long ago was that?
About less than a week.
I was just curious as to what transpired.
Yes, ma'am.
As I said, I didn't know anything about it, Mayor. I mean, if you, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Hold your spot, Mr. Barrett. We have one new employee, and I'll let Mr. Barrett get into that.
We received this afternoon an Attorney General's opinion relative to a question that Phil Canova had posed to the Attorney General, maybe in January. I'm not sure exactly when. But it had to do with who had the legal power to hire a city attorney for the city of Plaquemine. And that came in today. We met briefly with Lynn, gave him a copy. We also put copies of that attorney opinion at your desk tonight. And the issue is, and that was asked of the Attorney General, who has the legal power in the city of Plaquemine to hire the city attorney? The Board of Select Persons. I know the charter and everybody calls them select men, and that's an error. And we talked tonight to the mayor and to Lynn to see if they could place that on the agenda to correct that. Rather than select men, it should be select persons. And that will be in the form of an ordinance. Notice has to be given, but that's coming shortly, which is a good thing. After the mayor contacted me relative to this issue of the city attorney, I met with him, and right after that, I met with your Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Lynn. And I told both of them, I don't represent the mayor in this inquiry. I do not represent the council or the board. I represent the city of Plaquemine. And that's how I've conducted my business in this inquiry, waiting for this Attorney General's opinion to arrive. Just a quick history. The town of Plaquemine has a charter which was granted by the Louisiana legislature in 1878, a long time ago. And the charter, section 13 says, the mayor and board of select to make laws. All that means is, when the legislature passed the charter, they designated the right and the power to you as a council or as a board to pass whatever laws you deem necessary. So, the charter is what gives you the right to make ordinances, which are laws under the city. And over the years, your board has done exactly that. There are books of these ordinances that they're public records that you can go through to see how many times ordinances have been enacted by this board over the years, back into the 1800s. The issue was sometimes during the 1960s. the city had in place for a long time something called the Personnel Board. And its members were the mayor, the Board of Selectmen, and the Personnel Board, under the law, had the full and legal authority and power to hire and fire any and all city employees. This board, composed of the people who represented this town and the city, it was actually a town back then, and also the mayor, y'all had the right to hire and fire. Okay? This personnel board well, I guess the question is, how did the mayor fit into this scheme of personnel board? You had the power to hire and fire. The mayor only could vote if there was a tie, or if he had vetoed something, you then had the right to overturn his veto. And that went on from the 1960s to the 1990s. And that's how it was operated. The only exception, of course, you know, we had always the heads, the department heads. And those had to be also, they could be appointed by the mayor, but it needed approval from the board. In April 22nd of 1997, Mr. Tony Galata was the mayor of the city of Plaquemine. By ordinance, that particular council that was sitting in 1997 abolished the personnel board. Is Phil here tonight, or is he going to be here? Okay. I'm going to let Phil, who was the attorney for the city at that time, give you a quick background on why the city went from the personnel board and how it was changed in 1997. Phil?
The brief history regarding the Personnel Board, as Barry stated, was started in 1960 and dealt from the Charter of 1878. To give a little history on how we came about in 1990s. In 1992, Tony Galata beat incumbent Stanley Hebert to be elected mayor of the city of Plaquemine and took office in January of 1993. In 1993, of course, Mayor Galata had a different way of operating the city and became in conflict with the board at that time regarding the hiring, firing, and particularly the disciplinary actions of various of employees. An opinion was asked for to see if who had the authority, and I think y'all all were aware, in 1993, the Attorney General issued an opinion that the city charter provided for the mayor and board of selectmen to hire, fire, and discipline employees, and even pointed to the personnel board ordinance that had been passed in 1960, putting all that into place. In 1996, Mayor Galata was reelected for a second term, and during 1997, as Barry stated, the ordinance was changed. What happened between 93 and 97 was, it wasn't every meeting, but it was quite more often than not. The council and the mayor would be meeting in executive session and discuss personnel, either regard to a hire, either regard to a termination, more often than not just dealing with the regular disciplinary actions that had been taken or not taken, in appeals by the employees. Meetings ran long. Meetings were very contentious with regard to that, and ultimately on the second term, and I believe it was Mr. Mayon that actually made the motion, and I think it passed 5-1 if I'm not mistaken. The council decided to delegate that authority to handle the day-to-day operations and the supervision of the city employees with regard to hiring and firing and disciplinary action to the mayor. It retained a approval confirmation for department heads and for hiring and firing of department heads. It retained its right to approve or disapprove that, but for the regular city employee, and I say regular meaning not a department head, the mayor was delegated that authority. And I believe that's what basically the the Attorney General relied upon. But that's the history behind it, and I'll turn it back to Barry.
Just a couple more minutes of history. This was the same time that the parish was investigating and going into the possibility of a home rule charter for the parish. I was elected as the chairman of the Home Rule Charter Commission, and so I was helping draft. I guess we had about 10 or 12 people on this commission, and we all had input in how are we going to have a parish president, because all we had was a police jury. We didn't have a parish president before the Home Rule Charter. And Tony Galata called me one day. He says, "Can you give me a draft of what you guys are thinking about, girls and guys? What are y'all thinking about relative to the powers of a parish president?" And so Tony was very interested, and I guess it was his wheels were turning. You know, I've got the same problem. We can't get anything done because of the personnel issues that we're having here, that every one of them has to go before the board. So the bottom line is that I gave him a copy of the draft of the powers of the parish president. In fact, I delivered the final parish charter, home rule charter, to the police jury 7 months before this ordinance was changed by the city. So, when the new Attorney General's opinion arrived today, this afternoon, I read it and I agreed with it, that based on the laws that were created in 1997 by the council then, the mayor has the right to hire employees, including city attorney, and that's what the Attorney General agreed with. I will answer any questions that anyone may have on this issue. The mayor has appointed and, has hired Mr. Lou Delahaye as a city attorney. And if there are any questions by anyone, I would be more than happy to try to answer them.
Mr. Mayor, as the mayor's hired, Delahaye as the city attorney, doesn't it still have to be ratified by the board?
No.
No?
Correct. Based on the 1997 ordinance that was passed, he has the right to hire and fire.
Excuse me, I know you said he has the right to hire and fire, but did you not just say that we also have rights we have to be able to do the same? So we don't have any rights to hire our city attorney? We don't have the rights, what you're saying?
Well, there are circumstances in which the council or the board, however we're going to call it, has a right to hire attorneys. Okay? Well, depending on the circumstances of the case that you might be faced with, okay? If you need a special attorney to be hired for a particular endeavor of the council that really just involves the council, not the mayor, not the city, you would have the absolute right to engage your own counsel. Yes, ma'am.
So, I guess my next question is, why are we here? Why are we here? I'm just asking, I mean,
Well-
we were nominated for this to work for the city, the citizens of the city, so why are we here? You have no rights.
You have all the rights in the world. You have an ordinance that's been in place since 1997, and every mayor from Tony Galata on has been given the rights under this ordinance that was passed by a council, not this council, but the council that preceded you in 1997.
Okay. Phil Nova said in the last time we talked to him about something like this, he said, as far as the hiring, firing, he said the mayor had the right to hire the heads of the fire, head, the department heads. No, we didn't. But the mayor has the right to do the other. So, is the department head?
No, ma'am.
See, because I'm not understanding, and maybe it's just me, maybe I just don't understand.
Well,
It's
let me just put it this way.
It just doesn't sound like what I was told previously. So I don't understand how everything changed so drastically. When even the mayor himself knew or said that we would have to have our own city attorney or nominate or whatever. So we don't have the right to nominate an attorney or anything, right? Somebody said that was his.
Council in 1997 gives that power to the mayor. What it does not give the mayor the power to do is department heads. Those have to be approved by the council.
I'm sorry, I didn't get what you said.
And Ms. Jones, I'd like to sign up public comment, and I think I could clarify some of these issues if when I'm allowed to take that public comment.
Did you answer?
You want Joe? He can come up.
Well, there's a question on the floor.
The question is that you have every right as a council to change an ordinance.
Terminating or removing city attorney in his position like a municipal employee. However, if the city attorney, a department head, supervisor or assistant supervisor, and the mayor's hiring, termination, or removal is subject to the approval by the board of selectmen under the ordinance. So, explain it to me, tell me what this is saying. So you say he's not a department head, right?
My research leads me to believe, as of this moment, the city attorney is not a department head under either the charter or the ordinance of 1997. Yes, ma'am. I haven't seen any evidence that city attorney is a department head. None. In fact, I think the Attorney General addressed that in their opinion today.
Okay, I'd like to hear from Mr. Montgomery.
Yes, ma'am.
First, thank you, Ms. Jones. First off, I'm here, I've signed up under the public comment section. It's no secret, I was an applicant for the city attorney job. So was Ms. Atkins, so was Mr. Delahaye. We've been waiting since December for an attorney general's opinion. to determine what process to go forward with. That Attorney General's opinion was issued today at 11 o'clock. Between 11 and 12 roundabout, it was delivered to either Mr. Marino or Mr. Reed. I was able to get a copy of it around 3 o'clock. So we waited since December. And by the way, Mr. Canova also retired from City of St. Gabriel attorney. That job was filled long ago by a vote of the council. Okay. All due respect to Mr. Marino, I've read the opinion. Mr. Marino's interpretation of the opinion is dead wrong. And our 6 council members are all competent and intelligent people, but y'all happen to not be attorneys. And we waited all this time for the Attorney General to give an independent opinion on what the process would be. And within hours of getting that opinion, a private attorney was hired to interpret that opinion favorably for one individual. Now, I've got the opinion right here, and I want the council to know what this opinion says. First off, there was an opinion issued in 1993 on the same issue. There was an amendment to the charter in 1997, and it said department heads have to be approved by the council. Only the council can approve the hiring or approve the firing, okay? Now, this is the Attorney General's opinion that was issued today. At the end, emphasis added. The question is whether the city attorney is a department head, okay? Now, this letter is written to the mayor. Your request states that there are several department head positions which include but are not limited to city clerk, city finance director, director of utilities, and city attorney prosecutor. So it was a department head since the beginning of time until today. Okay, until today. Now let's go further. Let's go further. And look, we're not in a courtroom. I'm giving my legal opinion. I'm sure other lawyers may have different opinions, but this was an independent opinion from the AG's office. I'm reading from it. I'm not making this up. Okay. According to the language of Plaquemine City Code 264, the mayor alone is given the authority to hire, terminate, or remove the city attorney if the position is that of a municipal employee. A municipal employee is somebody that drives a street sweeper, just regular daily employees. Okay. Now, apparently, Mr. Lee, the city attorney, is of the same caliber. However, if the city attorney is a department head, supervisor, or assistant supervisor, then the mayor's hiring, termination, or removal is subject to approval by the Board of Selectmen. Okay? And then they go further to say that this office declines to make a factual determination, meaning they're just interpreting the law. They're not interpreting the facts. Okay? Declines to make a factual determination on whether the city attorney is a municipal employee, department head, supervisor, or assistant supervisor. And there's a footnote at the bottom of this opinion. All right, this is what it says. Whether the city attorney is a department head, public officer, or municipal employee is a question of fact. The Office of Attorney General does not operate as a trier of fact. As noted in Attorney General Opinion 180138, that's the one from 1993, a city attorney can be a public official in some circumstances. Louisiana jurisprudence has found the following factors relevant to determine whether a city attorney is a municipal employee or a department head. And here they are. Whether the individual acts as an agent of the state. City attorney prosecutes in this court, determines whether charges are accepted or refused, whether somebody goes to jail, whether it's upgraded to a felony. That's acting as an agent of the state. Exercises the portion of the sovereign power, falls on the same thing, or involves a large degree of independence. Obviously, you want an independent attorney. You want somebody that's going to represent the mayor's office, the city, the councilman, the city of Plaquemine, not somebody that's going to give self-serving opinions. Okay, and then whether the city attorney is under the direct supervision or control of an employer or subordinate. Do you want your attorney subordinate to any one councilman or any member of the city? You know? And then whether the city attorney is appointed for a term. Clearly it's a term. Now, if you go into this municipal employee thing, how does the city attorney get paid? The city attorney just get to send whatever bills they want in. The council has to appropriate and approve that money. Now, it is a fact that it says department heads in the ordinance. It doesn't clarify it. the solution to this problem is that the council make a resolution to clarify what department heads are and to include city attorney in that clarification, and then to accept applications and vote as they deem appropriate. Look, I'm not entitled to this job. Ms. Atkins isn't, Mr. Deli isn't, Mr. Marino isn't, but I'm a citizen of this town, and I believe the law, as a lawyer for 20-something years, I believe the law should always be followed, especially when you're representing a government agency. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I know we're not in the courtroom, but, you know, it's
Mr. Miller, could you repeat that last thing you said about what the council has the right to do? Because
I think the way to fix this, because the whole thing in the opinion is that it's not clear. It doesn't specifically say the city attorney is a department head, although Mr. Reeves classified the city attorney as a department head in his request. The city could make a resolution to clarify the department heads and list what they are: finance director, city attorney, whatever. Once that's done, there's no confusion as to who's a department head or not. And then after that, I think applicants should be reviewed and debated, and whoever gets the job gets the job. But it shouldn't be a pushover. Wait since December. Opinion comes in a few hours ago. This is it. Y'all can't say anything about it. Got to accept what I say. It's not how it's supposed to be.
Mr. Barry, do you have anything else?
Well, as part of my investigation, I tried to find out whether Phil Canova was an employee. He got a W-2. He had salary. He had retirement, insurance, everything an employee has, and that certainly went towards the fact that he was not a department head and that he was an employee. That's what he was.
But Mr. Mayor, don't our department heads get insurance?
Of course.
They got the same situation going on. And so what?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you making that assessment that he's not a department head versus a?
Well, I asked whether the city had a document that would show who were the department heads and who were not. And I was given an old document. I think it was the only one they can find. And I have it here tonight if y'all like to see it. It doesn't show. It does not show the city attorney as a department head.
If you go to the city website, it gets departments. City attorney is one of the departments, and it's still Canova. So if he's not the head of that department, now what is it doing on the city website?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, that's the point.
I hear you.
It's city
Correct.
department head.
So is he a contract employee?
Whatever their pay arrangement was for Phil Canova, okay, that's what it's going to be for this city attorney. What that is, the details of which, I don't know, other than I know he gets W-2s just like any other employee.
Let's go back many more years.
Yes, sir.
So why, for the past 20 years, me and Mr. Campbell have been sitting on this council, we always had to ratify departmental heads?
That is in the charter, and it's also in the ordinances. You've got to ratify department heads. And the issue is whether or not the city attorney is a department head. I found no evidence that he was.
Any other questions?
And I'd just like to say that, regarding what Mr. DuPont said about a resolution to clarify the department heads, I'd like to, if I'm in order, I'd like to be able to do that at this time. Go supposed to have a resolution or something, how we do it. I'm not real well versed on that. But I just see, it just looks like we've been systematically kicked out of what needs to be, what we are supposed to be doing, what we were elected to do. So I would like to put it on the agenda, I guess, is that what I have? Add it to the agenda, that we, the resolution to declare fire department heads. I'd like to do that if I may. Is that how I'm supposed to say it? That's my motion. To add this item to the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I cannot hear anything.
I said I'd like to make a motion to add this item regarding the resolution to clarify the department heads to the agenda.
To amend it,
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, I'm still having trouble here. Look at this,
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to the agenda to amend the agenda and add this item regarding the resolution and clarification of the department head. Is that how it goes?
it would be an ordinance to. You don't want to keep the bottom line, you're trying to do this,
Yeah, I'm trying to do what he said. I want to do whatever's necessary for us to determine whether or not that is what it's supposed to be. You have to what? Why? You don't put it on the agenda,
if y'all want to get it, it has to have a vote to, and, okay,
that's my motion. Thank you, yes.
who seconded it? Pro Kemp, Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Ms. Belliola,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes?
Mr. Lamont. No. Mr. Couture. No. And Mr. Mr. Randall.
Motion failed, but that be unanimous.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, we got you.
To amend the agenda, the item has to be unanimously approved to add to the agenda.
Motion failed. Any other questions for Mr. Mariano? Questions for Mr. Mariano? Thank you, Barry.
Ms. Jones, add this to the agenda, next meeting.
If I can do that, yes, I'd like to add it to the agenda for the next meeting.
Next
I
meeting,
make a motion to add it to the agenda for the next meeting.
We don't need a motion for that. We got
Well,
it.
I'm just,
there would be the meeting in April, correct?
that's fine, April is fine with me.
We don't have another meeting this month?
We
The
may have been-
22nd would be a committee meeting, it's not a voting meeting. The 23rd is strictly the body policy, and right now we have 22 items.
Any other questions for Mr. Mariano? Thank you, Mr. Barry, appreciate it. We'll move on to item 3, to adopt an ordinance authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $1,500,000, providing for other matters in connection therewith. We have with us from the bond agency, if you would please state your name and please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Board members, I'm Jason Akers with Foley & Udell, your bond counsel. The ordinance that's before you is the final approval for a loan from the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality Revolving Loan Fund. These revolving loan funds exist both at DEQ and Louisiana Department of Health. One is for sewer purposes, that's the DEQ loan. The other is for water purposes, that's LDH's program. But they're revolving loan programs where the state has a pot of money. They make loans to participating municipalities. The interest that gets paid on that loan from those municipalities goes back into the fund, and it just revolves over and over again. That allows the state to offer low-interest loans to you for sewer improvement purposes. In this case, that loan is at a fixed 0.95% interest rate. I want to state that again because it's 0.95% interest rate. And there's another added benefit that there's a $300,000 forgiveness portion of this $1.5 million as well. This loan will be secured by the 3 different sales taxes that are levied parish-wide and that the city receives a portion of. With your approval tonight, Tony and I always joke that these revolving loan fund programs, they run on parallel tracks. There's the finance side that we're handling, and then there's the engineering side that he's handling. This will be your final approval tonight, so the finance side will essentially be finished. He is completing the final approval process with DEQ to get final approval for the project and for the closing on that side. Once we have both of those final approvals, we'll move to closing and you'll have funds available. It's a 22-year fixed loan, which allows you for a 2-year drawdown, meaning that you only draw funds as you need to pay funds out. That's a way to control the interest cost as it goes forward as well. When all is said and done, if you pull the full 1.5 million down with the $300,000 forgiveness, your total cost of debt service each year is going to be around $65,000 to $70,000 for this project. I'm happy to answer anything you have about the ordinance or the financing itself. Anything project specific, I'll gladly turn it over to Tony and let him address.
Tony, this is for the,
This is for the,
dog sewage?
yeah, the North Sewage Plant abandonment.
I'll make a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $1,500,000 of tax for sales tax bond for the city of Plaquemine.
Who was that?
Yeah.
Tom? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Rivette?
Yes.
Ms. Mayor?
Yes.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Ms. Couture? Mr. Randall? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you being here. Don't bear with me. Lot of pages. Okay, we'll move on to item 4, to discuss occupational alcohol license suspicion at 22325 Highway 1, owner Chansley Young. Lenore, I guess we'll start with you.
Good evening, Mayor and Selectmen, select persons. This property is located in District 1, and we're here to discuss and consider the suspension of an occupational and alcohol license for Twister Burger due to illegal activities that was caused from the PD forwarded to me. From here, we'll ask Chief Administrator for the City of Plaquemine Police to give you all a detail in the backup, explain exactly what happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ross.
Mayor, I'm not going to be all wrong because I see we're here tonight. Just probably don't want to speak on the behalf of Mr. David and his wife, Ms. Young. And I'm not going to go too much into details as far as what happened at the Twisted Burger, but I will tell you that on the 16th of last month, I'm sorry, several complaints came into the police department that there were some dancer slash stripper type activity going on at the Twisted Burger on Thursdays. The following week, the police department and a few investigators went into the Twisted Burger and videoed and recorded females actually performing dances completely nude and doing other obscene and lewd activities. Mr. David and his wife, and not to mention several ladies were arrested, they were charged. They did have some paraphernalia and some drugs in their possession. His license was taken that night. Liquor license and occupational license was taken that night. And he's been closed ever since. I think I could save the council and the mayor a whole lot of time and everybody in the room. He's fully aware of some of the things that he done, and he's not here to challenge that. He knows he done some wrong things. He know he violated his lease agreement. He know he violated his liquor license permit. He know he violated his occupational license permits and the instructions that goes along with it. He also know that ATC agent Alexander, who issued them their state permits, will probably be dealing with them on the state level. The following day after all this took place, I spoke with the gentleman. Actually, I spoke to him several times on one day. He called me and he came by the office. He's very apologetic. He's humbled himself. And he know everything that took place. He was wrong. He's here to take whatever punishment the council may place before him today, whatever that may be. To make this short, to the point, all I'm asking, whatever decision that you guys may render based on your packet, y'all have pictures, y'all have names, y'all have a detailed report as to what happened. I've stood before the council, except for the exception of 4. It was Mr. Timmy at the time and Jimmy for the last 30-some years, whereas that I've been here for just about every convenience store and every barroom we've ever had in Plaquemine. And they've all had multiple violations. And we've been here saying what he did was right. All I'm asking is whatever decision we decide to make tonight, let's just be fair. And I don't even think anybody else needs to stand up, because everybody that's going to stand up is going to tell you positive things about the business in him himself. Now, I know that's in your district, and there's some guidelines he's going to have to follow if he's given the opportunity to stay open. He's willing, and I'm sure him and his wife are going to stand up and they're going to say a few things. I'm just saying, he did it, he was wrong, he admitted it, he's going to have to deal with it. But note, in my 34 years, we've never closed down a business on a first offense. And we've had anything from gunshots, stabbings, shootings, we've had it all. And I'm just asking, whatever decision y'all make, just let's make it a fair one. Anybody have any questions?
I was gonna ask you a question, Mr. Johnson, as far as, my 20 years on the council, 21 years, whatever it may be, I don't think we've ever shut down any business.
Never.
And, we've always given them a chance. I know we had some opportunities with establishments on the Bellevue that came before Mr. LeBlanc came on the council.
Right.
That we had multiple issues. And, we had issues in other places. But we've always brought them in, talked with them, explained to them. And yeah, we get them pretty hard.
There's been some fines. I don't know if this is going to happen tonight. We never closed the establishments if there was a store, if alcohol was involved. We even suspended their liquor license, but we never closed and took their liability.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Well, Robert, I want to say that I've heard nothing but good things about the gentleman and his establishment. We all do things that are not necessarily right all the time, but I think that he should be given an opportunity to redeem himself. That's just my opinion.
I gotta make this absolutely clear. I don't agree with nothing that happened on the 16th, and nothing that happened on the 24th, but I don't agree with it. But I don't agree with the mere fact that we may try and take his livelihood.
Where's that money going?
It's going to be placed in evidence. It's actually in evidence. Some of the money actually is the city of Plaquemine money because it's marked, they won't be getting that back. And it's gonna be totally up to the judge whether he releases it back to them.
I was just curious.
Is the owner present? Would y'all like to say anything? Please come forward, identify yourself. For the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is David McLaughlin, owner of, well, I'm not the owner of Twisted Burgers. My wife is licensed to run Twisted Burgers in Iberville Parish. She's kind of gun shy. She can't really talk that much. I just want everybody to know that the night that this happened, these things that happened, I understand that what I did was totally wrong. I just accept whatever consequence that you guys have, no matter what it is. Definitely that will never happen again. Anything like that. We do have our venues that we have for the public, and we do a lot of hosting events, a lot of positive things that we've done for the community with taking kids and our troubled youth. On Wednesday nights, we actually have, 2 rival gangs actually coming on Wednesday nights. That wasn't something that was publicized. I don't make it public because I'm trying to do something to keep the gunshots from back of town and all of those things there. And we do a lot for this community. We don't live here in this community, but we are a part of this community. Everyone in this, just about every face in this room has had a conversation with me, whether it be white or black in here. And I messed up, and I'll take that. I'll take whatever it is, but I just don't think that my livelihood, we've been without income for the past 2 weeks, and this is the way we survive. And no matter what we need to do to be able to make it right, we're here to make it right tonight.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Lenore,
Yes.
what are our options? If he wants occupational license, can he get an alcohol permit back, or what's the deal with that?
Well, if we can take in consideration to release the occupational license and let him have his occupational license and suspended his alcohol license for a year, if the board agrees with that.
Mr. Rebat, that's in your district, what is your recommendation?
Yeah, I spoke with Mr. David, spoke with numerous other people that called on his behalf. And yes, in our conversation, he agreed that he messed up. He was very humbled by it. He was ashamed. It's that what I got from him while speaking to him. I think the people that he has helped in our community has been great. He doesn't turn down anyone. If somebody goes over there and say, all I got is $5, can I get a hammer? Yes, you can. And he's gonna give him a hammer or whatever his person needs. But the activities that took place, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in him because we gave him a chance when he applied. The first time for his alcohol permit, we denied.
Mr. Lamb, can you hold up, please?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
So, in 2021, Ms. Young applied for the liquor license. It was granted. I'm the one that suggested it to this board that we grant his liquor license. Because he was doing good. He had maybe 1 or 2 little mishaps that didn't amount to anything. Loud music, and one time I think, David, you had a graduation party.
Yeah,
and all that was
minor
I
offense.
spoke with him. He said, this will never happen again. I'll keep everything under control. And he kept his word. He kept his word. But we gotta have, I guess, consequences for what he plays.
Right. May I say something on behalf of the liquor license? I need everybody to understand that we were a BYOB facility before we ever had a liquor license. We've always had liquor because according to the state of Louisiana, we can't offer our patrons to have alcohol. So it's never been, we've never had alcohol, and I don't think that alcohol was the reason for this happening. I don't think that our alcohol license is the reason. We didn't violate an ordinance with the alcohol itself. And I'm just asking because the alcohol actually what gives us the extra income to be able to sustain our livelihood. And it wasn't because of alcohol that this incident happened. It was because of my neglect and me not doing what I needed to do to be able to protect the interests of my wife and what we're going forward with. And I just don't think that the alcohol license is the reason why this happened. Because we've had alcohol, Brother Jimmy has been there to serve alcohol there when we would be YOB. So we've had alcohol since we've been there. We just never charged anyone for alcohol. So I'm just asking, can we reconsider suspending my alcohol license and whatever the penalty may be, because that's a lot of income that we've started to generate. So I'm asking for leniency on that from you guys. Thank you.
I want to say this about my brother Dan. When we lost power, when people lost power in White Castle, and they wasn't able to eat, that man opened his business up to feed those people. When the utility workers came down here to repair and replace the poles, he was the first one to open his business up. When they wanted to lock these kids up, he opened his business up to give them employment. Not only that, he took his personal money, continued paying the young man, and took it and bought him clothes to make him presentable before the council. I understand what he did was wrong, but I mean, we should punish him like that. You know, I understand he's gonna be fined, he may have to do community service. I personally volunteer to help him if he gotta do community service or whatever, because I know what he has been in this community and what he is doing for these kids. He is helping us, and he is not from here. We need him. I stand with him.
And he has been like that way before Twisted Burgers even started. I've been knowing him for 10 years plus. That is actually my brother-in-law, but he is my brother. So he deserves to have his business, and he deserves to go forward with his life.
Okay, Mr. Reed, what's your recommendation?
I'm gonna recommend,
Can I speak with three guys?
Yes, sir.
Mr. David,
Yes, sir.
let me tell you, I weighed on this, on how it's gonna move forward with this. I'm gonna make a motion to suspend your liquor license for 90 days. 90 days.
Beginning with, Ms. Reed.
Okay. The date was
Days.
yes. But in saying this, I don't want to get another call from Mr. Johnson or the city PD on any activities that's not according to your occupational license.
Absolutely.
Follow that occupational license to the letter of the law.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And I heard him say BYOB, that doesn't have to stop, correct?
Right.
That doesn't change it. You just can't sell for that.
You just can't say.
Can't sell for 90 days.
Okay, one other question, I'm sorry, I'm thinking I'm moving now. Does that include the 14 days that he's already out of?
Yeah, he can, start that date from 14 days back.
I'm sorry,
February, beginning February, 90 days from February 24.
yes, ma'am. I'm not the council.
Right. And, you know, I'm doing this, I never want to take away somebody's livelihood,
Thank you.
but there's consequences.
I understand.
And I think you and I talked,
We did.
and, you know, I received several phone calls, from people speaking on your behalf. And that's gonna be in my motion to suspend the alcohol permit for 90 days as the consequences for what took place on that March, February,
Yes, sir. You're gonna give him the occupation license back.
absolutely, yes. He's gonna get his occupational license back. Okay, thank you.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Ms. Gale?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Mr. Coulthard?
Yes.
Mr. Rand? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Y'all been great. Thank y'all so much. I want to say thank you to to the mayor, to the council, and all of the people that showed up on my behalf. Thank y'all so much. I love the city of Plaquemine, and we're going to go forward and doing positive things. Thank you, Brother Rabi, because you stood up, and I thank you so much because you know me and you know that, especially you, Mr. Lynn. I talk with you, Ms. Wanda, Ms. Million, all of y'all, man. Thank y'all so much for giving us a second chance. Thank y'all. Thank you, man.